lot of people don't understand when things are connected. Look up the connection between being a control freak and being a control freak in bed. How many of you honestly think that people who are control freaks aren't more often than not control freaks in bed as well? So it would be pretty absurd for someone to suggest that that is not the case, right? And so is the case with psychiatry, law enforcement, their countless sexual assaults and rapes of inmates and women and so on. They have a long history of that, pedophilia, etc. And the same thing with the elite. Psychiatrists went from making homosexuality a mental illness that they used to try to treat with aversion treatments and what have you, even paying some patients to subject themselves to rather inhumane treatments in order to try to drug the gay out of them. They couldn't do it. However, they showed some promise. After the gays had thoroughly aligned themselves with the eugenicists, the blacks, and the women's rights movement in the 60s, by the early 70s, they had successfully gotten homosexuality removed from the list of mental illnesses. And by the 90s, they were starting to do treatments to teach people to be gay. It started with being gay friendly. And then they would say things like, don't knock it till you try it. When you look at San Francisco and Berkeley and Santa Cruz and Seattle, there's a lot of gays who hang out with people who aren't gay. There's a lot of bisexuals. And people tend to try to conform. So the left is making liberals more gay by the minute, really. When you look at drugs, the marijuana movement, drugs, just like sugar, make people more suggestible and less focused. That's why Matthew 10:22 says, "You will be hated by everyone because of me, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved." 1 Peter 5:8, "Be sober, be vigilant." Notice they put "be sober" and "be vigilant" right next to each other. Because alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, psych meds, meth, Adderall, which is basically prescription meth, and other prescription amphetamines make people less focused and more suggestible. Some of these amphetamines make people more focused, however, they're also more suggestible. A lot of people don't understand that. It's really, most drugs make you less focused and more suggestible. Amphetamines are one of the few categories of drugs and narcotics that actually make you more suggestible while being more focused. And this is also what mental health does. They teach mindfulness. So first you make them suggestible, then you get them to focus on the false belief system that you have impressed upon them. This is not some concocted conspiracy that doesn't make any sense. This is an egregious, loathsome conspiracy that could not be any other way. For a Christian to be homosexual is for him to be antithetical or naturally opposed to his moral system and his natural self. Mind control is unnatural. The artificial system is unnatural. Settling for a woman that you don't really like because you want to fit the liberal social norms is unnatural. And there's a long list of things that are unnatural, including homosexuality and transsexuality and transhumanism. This is a recurring theme. Redefining what nature or human nature really is and doing things that are unnatural. Every single day I come across feminists and gays who are very bitter and very upset in an unnatural state of mind, trying to convince me that things that are unnatural are actually natural. I don't give a shit if your movement has been aligned to the phony black movement for decades. I don't give a shit about what happened in the 60s. I don't give a shit about anything other than what is right and what is wrong. The most particularly pernicious form of oppression is that which is done by the left. Psychiatric abuse, the political abuse of psychiatry. Only leftists and big corporations from the right really approve of this. This is absolutely adverse to conservative Christian values. I just gave you the scriptures. 1 Peter 5:8, Matthew 10:22. We aren't supposed to compromise with godless scum. We're supposed to stand firm. I've been bombarded with homosexuals prank calling me, trolling me, contacting me on Facebook, saying stupid shit, sending me their naked pictures of men, sending me pictures of their butt. There's unwanted harassment. They're sickos. In the psych ward, I heard stories of gay staff members taking advantage of patients when they're drugged up and rubbing on their penis and saying that this is an example of how people are naturally bisexual. Isn't that disgusting? Are we naturally attracted to our hands as well? If you started humping a pillow, your dick would probably get hard as well. You're naturally attracted to a pillow. But this is the kind of logic these sickos have. I promise you that gays went from being angry at how society treated them to treating society in a similar way, except for with the latest technology and the latest advancements in technology. That's what's going on right now. It is an unholy alliance of the left, and they torture all the political opposition in very sick ways. If you happen to be someone who's, the subject, someone who's a victim of a homosexual's obsession, then it gets a whole lot worse. Because then they're not only mad at you for being anti-gay, if you will, and not being gay yourself, but they're mad at you for not liking them. So you become this person that has rejected them, and you do not believe in what they believe, and you're against them for what they see as what they are, or who they are, right? When it's really what they chose to be, but that's a whole nother topic. Think about it. How many of you have dealt with a vindictive female who was, felt vengeful because you didn't like her? It is 1,000 times worse when you're dealing with gays and feminists in mental health. Right now, there are unattractive feminists who are obsessed with me, who are gang stalking me. There are gays that I'm not attracted to because I'm not gay, who are obsessed with me, who are gang stalking me. Okay, you people don't understand this. These are sickos. It's kind of like a boss at work who's giving an employee a hard time because they won't date them. Except for this is 1,000,000 times worse. These are sadomasochistic, bondage-loving, the dominant fucking sexual partner in a gay relationship type of sickos. Those are the ones who are doing this. I don't like any gays, but the ones who are doing this are the dominant one, in the gay relationship. When it comes to females, they're the ones who play the role of a male, or try to take on more male attributes. Those are the people who are doing this. Absolute sickos. This is a scientific perspective. I didn't read this in the Bible. This is observation, empirical evidence, scientific evidence, countless sources, countless cases. I'll start putting cases in the comments. Psychiatrists raping hundreds of patients here and abroad. This is mainstream history and common fucking sense and personal experience all meshed into one. A scientific approach to the facts. Something these sickos are not capable of doing. How many of you think that some sick gay person in mental health is going to admit that they're sick? They're like, you know what, he's right. We do have a problem and we're trying to work on it. No, they're not going to say that. They're going to take shots at you instead. They're going to gang stalk you instead. They're going to say you're mentally ill instead. How many of you think a feminazi complex having witch is going to admit that she has a problem and that she's obsessed with people, and her and her feminist friends are teaming up on guys who don't want to date her, her family, or her friends. No, they're not going to say that. They're going to team up with all the other sickos and say, you're the problem. I have a very ridiculous problem, that I shouldn't have, and it's all their fault, that I have not only fat feminist whores obsessed with me, I also have sick gays in mental health obsessed with me. And they're using their little sick network to highlight the fact that I am anti-liberal, anti-gay agenda, anti-feminist agenda, anti-New World Order, anti-eugenics, anti-big pharma, so on. So they all got together. But they're being led by these complex-having, sick shrinks and mental health staff and psychologists, feminist psychologists, just scum. So help me God, scum. And then there's the martial artists who don't want to admit that I would fucking make short work of them. They hide like bitches and side with sickos and pigs and left, right, left bitches and drug-pushing pedophile trash. Scum! That's where we are now.